You ready, Doc?
Life after the gunshot, yeah. Let's get it on. Let's get to it. Yo, what's good, my brother Doc Joe Rich, and I'm with my co-host.
Hey guys, it's the Young Revolutionist. Hey, today I think we hit 86 degrees. I want to start off by saying no shooting, man. The weather's broke. You know what I mean? Let's be as safe as possible. You know what I mean? Let's leave the guns at home. And let's enjoy our summer. We've been cooped up. DC is starting to, release some of the restrictions. You know what I mean? So let's not go ham. Let's think before we act.
Think before y'all move, DC, PG. Think before y'all move. We know it's getting warm outside. Let's try to keep the peace, man, for the summertime and for the kids and for the women out there. Let's bring some rules back, some rules back to this game about how we play outside. So, yo, my brother's episode, I don't even know, it's the last episode of the season.
For sure.
Man, we done dropped, it's episode 6. Lord have mercy, episode 6, brother. And how you feel?
Man, I feel blessed. I feel like, we got to take it one day at a time, one brick at a time, and eventually we're going to get to our wall of success. I feel like, the day the devil tried me a little bit, you know what I mean? But I had to, I just had to pray, you know what I mean? And remember that I was fasting and all praise be to Allah. But I do want to shout out the sponsorship, Eat. Hey, we appreciate you guys. We got y'all gear on, of course, again, you know what I mean? Make sure y'all go to the website. Make sure y'all go to Shoe City. Make sure y'all go to Downtown Locker Room and wherever they selling the apparel at. You know what I mean? So shout out to Eat, Mel, them good dudes over there, man. We salute y'all.
Mel, salute to y'all. Oh my, salute to y'all. And yo, we couldn't jump into talking about the best apparel in DC without showing that fly promo. This promo always get me hyped. Run that. Elevate all the time. E, go cop that for the summer so you can look fly for the summer.
And I want to shout out Big G. I want to shout out Big G from the last episode. I want to shout out Backyard. I want to shout out Jason. Hey, we salute y'all. We appreciate y'all sliding through. You know what I mean? Let's continue to build.
And one more shout. I want to shout out my man Tony Lewis for coming through my class yesterday. I gotta call him Professor Dr. Tony Lewis Jr. for coming through my class yesterday and guest lecturing. Amazing lecture. So, yo, I'm going to let you get a backstory before we bring, one of the legendary brothers in DC on. We keep bringing the legends on week by week. I hope people is understanding and seeing how we moving with it. So I want you to get a backstory on this brother.
Man, where do I start, man? I think, like you say, he's definitely one of the legend, in the city. You know what I mean? In the country when it comes to this bodyguard work. You know what I mean? I remember him just walking through the clubs and looking like a knight of shining armor. You know what I mean? It's much respect to him. You know what I mean? I remember just being 21, 22, 25 years old and just seeing him, how the way he moved. You know what I mean? How he had, the top, artists in the game. He made sure they were safe. You know what I mean? And he was always on point, man. So he definitely impacted me, you know what I mean, when it came to the security lifestyle, the personal bodyguard lifestyle. You know what I mean? He's definitely the frontier. You know what I mean? Other city, other culture. You know what I mean? And I think these are one of the guys that really, really, really got a voice. You know what I mean? And I think that, when he speak, people listen, as they should. You know what I mean? So, like I said on Instagram the other day, man, he a legend. He an OG. You know what I mean? He the big homie. You know what I mean? So, I want to salute, you know what I'm saying, Big E, man. Let's go ahead and bring him on.
Big E, let's go.
Hey, what's up? What's up, man? How y'all doing? Salute. What's good? What's good? Glad to be here, man.
Man, we glad to have you here, man. We glad.
Long time coming, man.
For sure. I was talking. We was talking. So you came up in a production meeting. I was like, you know what, man, we got to get Big E on. So our producer Jordan, I was like, look, man, just send him a DM. You know what I mean? Let's shoot that bitch from half court like Curry and see if he responds. You know what I mean? I didn't think about reaching out to nobody else I just go directly to him, man. And when you responded, and our producer told us that you responded, I was like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
I mean, you know, to be honest, man, I get a lot of stuff in the DM, man. And some of it I see, some of it I don't see. But when I saw this, I had already was familiar with the platform and what y'all was doing over there, you know, really diligently trying to do. So when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of this, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to be selective on what you do. I don't have time to do it all, but this is something that I really had to get my foot in the door with, man, and try to aid and assist any way I can, man. So salute to you guys, you know, for even having this platform and again for inviting me to be a part of it. So I thank you guys for that.
Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
So let's take it. We're gonna let people walk with us through this whole conversation. Let's take it all the way back to the very beginning.
For sure.
Big E, you know, where you from, where you came up at, all of that.
All right, so I'm a Washingtonian, DC native out of Northeast DC, the Trinidad neighborhood. Born and bred there. My background is, you know, I come from a military family. My pops, he was in the military, so I did a lot of traveling as a youth. But home was always, you know, Trinidad. So if I had to leave the area, when I came back, it was always there. That's where grandma's at, you know, mom's as a child, where she, you know, resided. And so that was home. And, you know, I came up in the 80s and, you know, I came up really in the 70s. I'm telling my age now. But in the 70s, my neighborhood wasn't what it would become, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wouldn't call it a neighborhood of like a project neighborhood or whatever, but it often had the undertones of a project. You know, we had row houses. We didn't actually come in, you know, project units or anything like that. But I think the mindset and the mentality became project wise, if you will, as years, you know, developed and certain things came into play. And, you know, we could tap into that later on, but, you know, in the 70s, it was all about, you know, your friends and sports and, you know, electric football men and comic books and Star Wars and, you know, and everybody was just, you know, a family oriented unit. But I left in the early 80s and I went to Germany for like 2.5 years with my family. And when I came back, the neighborhood I knew was no longer. When I came back, crack was just being introduced to the community, and my neighborhood was one of the forerunners, you know, if you will, and that whole epidemic would become an epidemic.
Right.
So, I mean, I remember like when I went to Germany, prior to that, I had never seen a Mercedes-Benz in my life. And when you go to Germany, every vehicle over there, from the buses to the cabs, were either Mercedes or BMWs or whatever. And when I came back here, the guys that I grew up was now pushing those type of cars.
Wow.
And I didn't understand how. And I soon learned. You know, I soon learned like what was really going on and the things that we came up together doing collectively that wasn't of importance anymore. It was a new thing. So
when you went to Germany, right?
Right.
And you came back, so over that 2.5 year period, a lot of your friends were still here. So when you came back, how had your friends changed?
They changed. I mean, it was like we were still adolescents, you know what I'm saying? But they had become, I guess in their mindset, men, if you will, because they were doing manly things or things that people took as being manly, you know what I'm saying? So, and they definitely was making decisions that was far beyond their years or even comprehension, you know, getting involved in certain things and going down certain paths that nobody could logically look and see the outcome of what was to come of that, or those decisions, if you will. So yeah, a lot of my friends, you know, sports wasn't important no more. A lot of things wasn't important that an average 14-year-old, 13-year-old, 15-year-old might be interested in, or what you might think they should be interested in. It was more or less, how can I get the new Hugo Boss? How can I get the new Polo? How can I get the new shoe that's out? And, if you live within modest means, your family, they might be able to get you certain things, but they can't get you all of it. And my friends, they wanted all and more. And they was going out getting it. But a lot came with the means in which they chose to go out and get those things. So it changed in that aspect. Like I said, the drugs came in, and when I came back, it was already up and running. So I didn't see the initial stages or the transformation of it. It was just like when I left, it wasn't there, or I didn't notice it. And when I came back, it was right in my face. And I come from a good family. I want to believe that I do. You know what I'm saying? Especially my mother was always diligent and trying to rear me in the right direction. I didn't come from a broken home or anything like that. So I knew right from wrong, but it was just a choice of, did I want to implement that, or did I want to chase behind my peers? And as it would have, I chased behind my peers.
So let me ask you this. So how big is influence in a young Black man that's 14, 15 years old? You know what I mean?
Everything. It's everything. I mean, when you say influence, it's two ways to look at it. You're going to be influenced regardless what, but it's the negative side or it's the positive side. You could be influenced negatively or positively, but you're going to be influenced. So that's the big thing. And a lot of us in these communities are influenced negatively. We do get the positive side. We had the elders that cared about us, the elders that tried to rear, but that negative influence was more. It was more because it came in an area which you frequent. You know what I'm saying? If I'm coming out the house, of course, let me explain this to you. You expect certain things from a parent. You expect the admonishing from them. You expect them to tell you to do this, that, and the third. So when you hear it, it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But when your friends are telling you this, and
Right.
that's what's pulling you, that's what's drawing you. You know what I'm saying? That's, your family is going to love you unconditionally, or they should. But your peers, you're going to chase for that. You want that, that acceptance from them. And you're going to have to move a certain way, or you feel as though you need to move a certain way. And if you don't get that, then you're going to try to by any means that acquire their acceptance. And I think that's where I messed up at.
So your father was in the military, so I'm sure he was like, as much as I know about military dads, like real regimented. How much tension did that cause in your household between like you and your father and your mother?
Well, see, the thing about it was, even though we were together, my father used to travel a lot without us. So it was basically on my mom, like when they were together, it was like A, B, C, D, you do that. And that's what it is. But then when he would have to be sent out on a TDY or on an assignment or whatever, then it's just mom's did. And she's stern, but she ain't as stern as pops. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to find every avenue I can to work her and play on her, play on her motherly side, so I can do the things that I need to do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So had he been there to oversee a lot of things, I might not have had the opportunities. But oftentimes when I was, because it was equivalent to a single family home at that point, when he has to leave, it's just the moms, and she has to go out, she has to work, she has to provide, she has to do the thing. So when she's out doing her, I'm gonna do me. Yeah. And by the time she can take a breather to sit back and try to comprehend what's going on, a lot of times it's too late. And then of course, we ain't gonna never admit to nothing.
Right.
They lying on me. They ain't seen me up there. What would I be doing up there? They don't know what they talking about. They don't like us. You know, so I'm giving every excuse, and then as a mother, they don't never want to believe, not my baby.
Yeah.
Yes, your baby. Yeah,
it's crazy that you say that. 2 points. The first point is, you know, I didn't meet my father for the first time till I was in my 20s, and he went to jail when I was like 6 months. You know what I mean? 6 months old. And I remember getting them calls just to collect call from. You know what I mean? And I remember some of the times when that was the only line of communication that we had. You know what I mean? Right. So he actually raised me and put certain morals and principles in me from prison. You know what I mean? But as soon as we hung up that phone, I went back to doing me. You know what I mean? And a lot of times I wouldn't even think about the consequences because I know he can't do nothing to me. So I agree about, you know, what you're saying as far as how your dad was in the military, but he was gone, and you played off the emotion of mom do, because I feel like I did the same thing, man.
I'm gonna tell you what's ironic, and I never forget this. You know, certain lessons that is passed on to you, they stick out more so than others. And it was at the point where I think my mother had begun to accept the fact or acknowledge the fact. I don't think she ever accepted it, but I think she acknowledged the fact that there was a problem with me, and she was losing control. And it's kind of funny because I just had a conversation with her last night, and we had a deep-seated conversation. And it's kind of hard for a parent to acknowledge this, but when they give you all that they can give you, there comes a point where you still are going to make your own decision when you get of a certain age.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times my mother might have faulted herself or felt that she failed me in some kind of way. And I used to tell my mother, you did everything you possibly could do. I did this. Yeah. This had nothing to do with you. So don't, you know, I commend you for the things that you did for me. I chose to do differently. And that was just the willpower that I had, whether it was positive or negative. I chose to make the certain decisions. But I say this to say there was a time when I think she realized, like, you know, I'm doing everything I can, and he's still gonna go the other way.
Right.
So, she called my father. At the time, my father, he's originally from Long Beach, California. So she called him and was like, basically, come get this nigga. Yeah. He out of control. I can't deal with him no more. He ain't listening to me. So maybe, you know, he needs a father, you know, because like he wilding. Yeah. So he came back, and I didn't even know he was coming. He came back and he was like, well, he caught me on the corner. It was probably about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm out on the corner. He pulled up in the car. I saw my mother's car. I'm like, oh, that's mom's. You know, I ain't worried about it. The window rolled down, and I said, oh shit.
What was the first thing you went through your mind when you realized it was your pop?
Oh shit. That's the first thing. Like, what the hell is he doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought he was like the people. They didn't call the peoples on me. Yeah. But you know, I got in the car with him. We drove down the street. We didn't go in the house. He wanted to take a walk. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. He wanted to walk the neighborhood. I guess he said, you already out here, so it don't matter. Yeah. Let's spin the block. So we walked, and we had a little heart to heart, and he basically told me, man, he said, it's two lanes in life. It's two roads. It's the right way and the wrong way. And, you know, their whole life, he and my mother had tried to show me which path to take. He said, he sees that that's not where I'm headed. I want to take the other lane. He said, because there's no middle course. There's no middle course. You're either going to go left or you're going to go right. So we've tried to show you right, but you want to insist on going left. He said, and in fact, I'm kind of glad you're going down this path. He said, because it's going to come a time that you're going to have to realize, hey, I'm on the wrong road or I'm on the right road, whatever works for you. But it's going to come a time, he said, we gave you one direction. You've arbitrarily went another direction. You're learning that way. He said, so there is going to be a time when you're going to have to either try to get off and get on the right track or continue going down this road. But as of right now, your ass is going to California in the morning. So you ain't going to have to worry about no road for a minute.
You got to worry about that plane ride.
Yeah.
So
and
what was that? What was that like?
I'm like,
What was that
going
like?
to California. I ain't going to no California, but my ass was on the plane the next day. So I mean, it was a culture shock. I mean, at that age going out there, it was a culture shock. But in hindsight, when I look back, it was the same thing going on here.
Right.
Just different rules.
Yeah.
It's the same. And see, that's what people feel. It's the same all over the board. It's just they call it, they say it differently. Out there, it was about colors. It was about red and blue. We talking about the 80s now. That's all it was about. You know, about gangs, and I couldn't identify with that, but it was the same thing we was doing in my neighborhood. Yeah. We just wasn't doing it. We wasn't doing it under those parameters, but
it was still. It right.
Was the point. You said, before I forget it, you said that, you know, the mothers be like, you know, crying over their sons and things. He was a good boy. I can't believe this is happening to him. But the whole time, he a killer. He done shot 3 niggas, you know what I'm saying, 3 hours ago. He done robbed a couple niggas, you know what I'm saying? And I think that, you know, we gotta come to a realization that our kids ain't babies no more. You know what I mean? They make their own decisions, man, because we see it on the news. We see it in the trauma bay. The mother saying, this is my baby. He a good guy. He ain't never did nothing wrong. And it be the exact opposite.
Yeah. We be like, it's his 3rd time being in here.
So do y'all remember the show City Under Siege?
Yeah.
I remember it. And the reason why I remember it, because I was going to college at that time in Virginia. And I remember the show used to come on every single day. And I used to be like, this is the craziest show ever, because all it would show every day was all the murders and shootings that was going on in DC. And that show came on I used to watch the show every day, because that was like one of the few shows we could get in Virginia.
So my grandmother used to fix dinner, and I'd be out in the street, and she'd keep it on the stove. And I would get in just enough time to, you know, come in, warm my food up, and I would sit down at the table with my grandmother, and City Under Siege would come on, and I'd be eating, and they'll have a broadcast, you know, tonight, such and such and such and such. And my grandmother would be tuned in. She'd be looking like, my stars, like, this doesn't make it. And I'd be just sitting there eating like,
sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and may have had knowledge of the situation or was privy to the news alert. And it was just like, they not gonna get it. They not gonna understand.
Yeah, I remember that show, bro.
So that's why, like, I put that out there because, like you say, a lot of times the parents is like, not my child or not this, and that's why I don't go for it today, because I've seen them. I don't care how young they are. I know what they're capable of doing. I know what I was doing. So, like, I never underestimate anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because kids are crafty.
Right.
Kids are crafty, and like, it ain't like they're sharper than you. They play on your empathy of not wanting to believe that they're capable of doing such. Yeah. So that's what really gets a person, you know, through a lot of stuff, because, like, there's no way possible. Yeah. I didn't birth this individual. I didn't raise this individual. Right. He didn't come from me. So where would he get this mindset from?
When you said, because a lot of times, right, when you're young, our parents say things to us and it doesn't resonate at the time because we already doing our own thing. We ain't listening. We don't have enough experience in life, but they telling us something that ultimately we look back and was like, damn, they was exactly right. So when your father was telling you that, like, all right, I'm glad you kind of going on this road, because one day you're gonna realize you was going down the wrong path. When or if did that happen? When did that happen for you?
Well, it came a time where I was wrapped up so much in my lifestyle that I knew that I was either going to die. In 1989, I knew I was either going to jail for a long time or I was going to die. Those were the options. And I woke up one morning and I just, took a reflection of just how I was moving, and I said, "This is going to be the year. I'm either going to jail or I'm gonna die." And I'm saying, and a few months later, I went to jail. So I already knew, what I'm saying, that prophecy, if you will, was already on the horizon. But definitely when they closed them doors and I knew I wasn't going nowhere, I said, okay, well, this is what he was talking about.
So when you got so when you, or do you remember the thought that went through your head when it was time for sentencing? Like how, I mean, of course, I probably know how you feel.
I mean, you gotta realize, like, I was prepared for it. When you say sentencing, I mean, it was different than when I got found guilty.
So answer that for me first. When you was found guilty, how you feel?
I was lost, because I honestly thought for this case right here that I was going to beat it. By all means, I should have beat the case flat out. By the evidence and everything was in my favor, and I should have beat it. So when they came back and found me guilty, I was just gone. Because when you speak about sentencing, see, it was a mandatory minimum for the statute of my crime. So when they told me I was guilty, I already knew what it was. The judge couldn't, she couldn't throw the book at me. She couldn't be lenient. By statute, it was already a specific sentence that had to be handed down. So once I was found guilty, the only other recourse I had was appeal. And that wasn't even 50-50 chance. So when I got found guilty, I sat back and it seemed like just everything it was like a motion picture where, the sound just fades out. I could see everything was going on. I looked back into the audience. I seen my family break down. I seen all that, but I couldn't hear anything.
Right.
And then I remember I had a tie on because I used to dress up every day, and I unloosened my tie and I sat down. And the first thing that went through my mind is 20 years. I said, damn, I ain't even been on earth 20 years. And it seemed like I had been here a lifetime. So I was trying to rationalize what I was about to face. And because I was 17 at the time when I became incarcerated, and I never left. And by this time, when I was found guilty, I was 19. And I was like, 20 years, like, and I've already shared with you, I had been to Germany, I went to California, I did some things. I wasn't just, I was like 20 years. So that's how that affected me. It was just like, it was like incomprehensible at the time. But
how do you prepare psychologically once you knew you was going to have to do the 20 years? You go back to your cell. How do you prepare psychologically at 19 that you got to?
I cried. I cried all night long. I was on detail, so like it was on a Friday. So when you on detail, that means you get a little privileges in a unit. So they had what is called late night. So we used to come out and watch Apollo when everybody else, they couldn't get out their cells. So when they popped my door to come out that night, I didn't come out. I sat up there and I mourned, if you will, all night long, just laid in my bed. And the next morning I got up, tied my shoes, and I went out my cell. And I never looked back. So that's the process in me. That's how my mind works. Yeah, it did affect me. But at that point, I knew if I don't get back on the pill and God allows me to live these years out, I'm going to be right here. So it ain't a whole lot to that. There's nothing I can do about that.
Right.
So I'm going to do it one day at a time. I used to hear people like, man, how can you do? What do you mean? One day at a time. That's how you do it. So the very next day, we're not even talking about 24 hours. I knew that this was going to be my path. And I began it that next morning. Wasn't easy.
Right.
Wasn't easy. but I prepared myself for the journey, however it may come. And it came in all different fashions.
Yeah.
But I'm talking to you right now today as a survivor. So, you know,
Yeah,
that's due to, you know, my creator, you know, protecting me all those years.
Right.
But yeah, one day at a time, that's how you do that.
we talk a lot about how, you know, DC, you know, is not a state. You know what I mean? We don't have our state penitentiaries. You know what I mean? It's straight feds. You can go anywhere in the world. I mean,
Right.
anywhere in the states.
Yeah, U.S. Yeah.
And I remember, you know, just sharing some information, you know, about my father and my uncle. I remember them calling me. You know, they'd be in South Dakota, they'd be in fucking Texas, they'd be in California. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, I remember thinking and asking my grandmother like, why we can't go see them. And I remember her saying, because they're too far away. It was just that simple.
Right.
You know what I mean? And as a kid or a young teenager, you know what I mean? I think that affected, you know, me, and it affects a lot of children and teenagers, you know what I mean, that's in Washington, D.C. It's one thing for your parent to be incarcerated, right? But it's another thing for your parent to be incarcerated and all the way across the country.
So let me say this. When I got my time, I'm under old law, what's considered old law. So when I got my time, and I wasn't in district court, I was in superior court. So my case wasn't a federal case; it was a superior case, which most of our cases are. So the only way that you went to the feds was if you caught a federal offense. So if we were a state, a superior court case is equivalent to like a state case.
Right.
So most of your crimes of violence and things of that nature, if they don't intersect with federal guidelines and records, it's state time. But because we weren't a state, once you caught if you want to call it a state case or a superior court case, you had the option of asking for a federal destination. So when I got sentenced, I could say, well, look, I want to do my times in the feds, or I want to go to Lorton, because that's when Lorton was still open. And you talking about 45 minutes down the road. Mm. So back in those times, you had college. I mean, well, Lorton had college, but you had more programs. You had more things to do federally wise. And they say, you know, you ate better in the feds. The living was better in the feds. But you're talking to a child who, even though I'm charged as an adult, and even though I thought I was a man, you're still talking about a child.
Right.
Who went in at the age of 17, who's now 19, and all I know is my family. So I said, damn, a federal destination. I'm gonna do my time in Lorton because I want to be able to get visits from my family. I want to be able to see my family. So I don't care what the conditions are down there. I don't care what the living is in the federal system. Keep me in Lorton. And that was a blessing. So for my first 10 years, that's what I did. I did my time in Lorton. And, you know, anybody that knows about Lorton, if you had to do time, that was the primary place to do it. Right. And so at least I got 10 years of that. So by the time they did close Lorton and they had to send us all, we didn't have a choice and everybody was just sent to the feds. I had a different mentality by then. I had already been in 10 years and, you know, I was 29 years old. I was a grown man. So, you know.
So that was around the 2000s.
Right. So I was like one of the last people to leave Lorton because I was in maximum security. I was in a wall. So they closed the wall down next to last. And from there we went, because they didn't want us, the feds didn't want us. So what they did with us, they sent us to a place called Red Onion, which was a supermax state-ran prison in Virginia. And what they did was they tried to use that as a buffer. We're going to break these niggas so they won't come in. By the time they get to the feds, they're going to have some act right.
Right.
That didn't work, but they tried that. So they would send us to the feds. I mean, they sent us to Red Onion. And like I said, supermax, state ran, different guidelines, different rules, different regulations, Commonwealth, so they can do just about whatever they want to do. And then from there, each week, 40 of us would go out to various facilities across the country. And my first spot was Terry Hut. That's where I ran into the good brother Kendall Sampson Dean. But yeah, that was my introduction to the federal system. So we go into my 11th year of incarceration.
So once you started getting like close to the end of your sentence, what were you thinking about in terms of like what you going to do once you get out? What did you start planning at day one? Did you start planning in your 10th year, or did you start planning like once you started getting closer to the time you was getting out?
Well, I mean, over the years, you plan all type of things. That's what keeps you motivated, you know. So I've seen myself in the seat of various things. When I get out, this is what I was going to do. But a lot of times, timing is just not there. You know, you hoping you get out at a certain time and things work for you and it don't. So you get older. You know, prior to me coming in, I've always been musically inclined. So, you know, I wanted to do the music thing. But as I was getting older and older, I realized that that's not really going to be a reality. I'm getting too old for this. At least to come out and be, from an artist standpoint. So the profession that I found myself in today, I never thought about doing that while I was incarcerated. That wasn't the plan. But like I said, you plan and you plan and you plan. And when you get out here, things don't always go the way you see. So you got to get in where you fit in, or you got to create something. And that's what I did. I created something for myself on a positive note. I mean, because there's a lot of negative stuff that I could have came right out here and full-fledged jumped into. But from a positive standpoint, I feel as though I created a lane. And when I say created a lane, the lane has always existed. It's not really big in the DMV area, you know, especially in DC. But I created a lane for myself, you know, and it's been pretty good to me.
When you first came out, did you like hit the ground running, or did it take a lot of time to really figure out what was going on?
And how important is social capital in your lane?
Say that last part again.
How important is social capital in your lane?
So when I came out, I came out running, and I got hit with an obstacle right off the bat. So I had to readjust, come back, and start over again. It wasn't really bad, like coming out, because one thing that I did have the entire time I was there, and that was a blessing, was I had a close-knit social network. You know, I had people that was there in my corner that held me down. You know, my mother, like, relentlessly throughout my whole, when nobody else was there, she was there. And I had a couple of friends. They would come and go. You know, I had some female companions. They would come and go. But moms was there the whole ride. But the thing is, I always would escape mentally and keep myself rooted and in tune with what was going on in the community. I might not have been able to physically understand it, like, you know, it wasn't tangible, but I had a degree of knowledge about it. So what I did was, when I got out here, everything wasn't foreign to me. The only problem of readjusting I had was my direction. Like, what I thought, if you made a left this way and make a right, what I thought was there wasn't there anymore. Or, you know, I had a fear of driving. Like, everything was just, when you moving on 2 feet for over 2 decades, and you know, it was real fast out here. But other than that, like, man, you know, and a lot of people that I come in contact with now, they like, you was locked up how long? Like, if they didn't know my story, or I didn't tell them, they wouldn't even have known that I was incarcerated. Like, some people, they become what they call institutionalized. And it's been people that just been 3 or 4 years, and you come out and they just can't adjust. And you can see those traits in them. And I'm not by far saying that I'm perfect, but like, if a person didn't know, they wouldn't know that I did 21 years.
Right.
And we talk a lot about social capital. It's always about who you know and the relationships that you got, in the world, man. And one of the things that we like to stress, just the young gentlemen and young people in general, is about, social capital is worth more than money, because that's what's going to get you to the money.
Let me interrupt you right there, and I apologize because I didn't touch on that question. Again, yeah, social capital is everything, but in order to capitalize off that, like, it comes from within. You got to be a certain type of individual, like, because when you're talking about social capital, like, people don't want to mess with you if you ain't on what you're supposed to be on. If you out here just doing crazy and reckless stuff, no one is going to try to embrace you. No one's going to try to assist you. No one's going to try to give, because like-minded people do similar things.
Right.
So if I'm on positive, if I'm on positivity and I know you on negative, I might try to reach back and grab you and open your eyes, but I'm only going to do that but for so long before I'm like, hey, because I can't go back that way. So you got to walk the walk and that you talking. You understand what I'm saying? So I came across some influential people, and one of the most ones is Tony Lewis Jr. And by the way, free Tony Lewis, good man. And that's all we're going to keep banging that. Free Tony Lewis all day until he is free. But I knew the father from my era, and I knew of the son from my era as well, because he was like, that's like that's royalty streetwise. But over the years, I had heard of all the things. He had became a man within his own, and I would hear of all the great things that he was doing and all the positive things. And just when I came out, we had a close affiliate that brought us together. And from the very first day that I sat and had a conversation with him, he told me, because of this individual, he said, if you are his friend, you are now my friend. This is how regarded this individual is. And we may speak more than me and the individual that, you understand what I'm saying? We're close now. And I mean, this is, and he's opened so many doors for me. In fact, this is how I really got into this occupation. You know what I'm saying? It was a meeting. He felt that I needed to be with a specific artist because the way the artist was moving, and he wanted somebody that he felt that, this bodyguard stuff is just, I don't think it's what a lot of people think it is. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can, with muscles and big dudes or a gun or whatever the case, that don't make you a bodyguard. Yeah. And a lot of times, your knowledge, your reputation, and just your foresight is more valuable than anything that you can learn in any academy or whatever you have. So Tony's seen something in me, and he knew a little bit about me, and he wanted this guy. He wanted me around this guy. And we met, and I've been with him ever since. It's been 10 years now. And I've been his head of security for almost those many years, and like I said, I didn't even come out here to try to be a bodyguard. I didn't know nothing about being a bodyguard, but I knew a lot about the streets. I knew how to survive inside the penitentiary. I knew how to see when things wasn't right. I could walk into a room and know that something's about to go down or something's not right. These are, I can read people. This is a blessing that my God gave to me, where everybody else is oblivious to what's going on around him. I always tell people, you got to be aware of your surroundings. So people might be like, this nigga nosy. Nah, I ain't nosy. I'm on point. Yeah. And I've always been on point. You know what I'm saying?
I want to ask you a question before I forget about that, because I had actually written that down. So, like, as a professor, I'm a sociologist studying how people interact, etc. But I would say for you, because of all the situations you've been in, the people you've been around, you're probably a better sociologist, psychologist than most people who have PhDs in it. in your experiences being in all of these situations around all of these people, what are the things that you have learned about human behavior and humans that you just learned in the line of work you're doing about just how human behavior is?
No one is predictable. I don't care what you think you might know of a person or you might understand, something is always afloat. That's what I've learned. Like, you can't underestimate no one or nothing, because as soon as you think you got it, they're gonna show you differently. And that's the main thing that I've picked up. I don't underestimate anybody. And I try to treat everybody respectfully, and I demand it in return. And that's just basically what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've had so many experiences, and I'm thankful for them, because I believe that's why I'm here today. You know what I'm saying? Being able to be in tune with those type of things, and being able to see it for what it is, and being able to, adjust and react in whatever manner I need to react in. And so, like I said, I got with this individual, and I got another close associate of mine, is somewhat my mentor. Once I decided to go down this path, a guy named Papa, and Papa's from Long Beach, California. He's Snoop Dogg's head of security. Been with him over 20-some years, and he's also his blood cousin, his first cousin. And once I realized that this was the path I was going to go on, he taught me, a whole lot, as far as the intricate parts of what I need to do. And like I said, with the blessings that I've had to be able to decipher certain things, that has taken me, over the years to excel in this industry. I still got a lot, a long way to go, but.
And I think, to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, E, you definitely always got to keep your eye on the ball, when you're in that line of work. And to give you a little how me and Dr. Richardson met, one night I took my eye off the ball, you know what I mean? And that ended up costing me, 13 wounds in my body. You understand what I'm saying? And when I'm hearing you talk about it, it makes sense, because for that one split second that I took my eye off the ball and became lackadaisical and not on point, it cost me. You know what I mean? And, that was a very, I learned a lot from that situation. You understand what I'm saying? Right. But look how the blessing within the burden is that situation caused me to go to the hospital, whatever, but then I meet Dr. Richardson.
Right.
That's how me and him met. You know what I mean? I was in a certain club and the shit popped off. I go to the hospital, Dr. Richardson doing a study at the hospital. My name come across his desk, and it's been 8 years that I damn near talk to this man every day. You know what I mean?
That's another thing you got to do. Those relationships, they're going to come and they're going to go. You have to be able to identify with those relationships, and you have to seize the moment. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a bad thing that happened to you, but look at the positive outcome that transferred behind that. Yeah. But if you still was on negative stuff, or your mind hadn't matured enough to embrace Dr. Richardson, he would have came in your life and left, and you wouldn't even have glimpsed. You wouldn't even have been able to understand his purpose of being there. And this is what happens a lot of times today, especially with our youth. You know what I'm saying? I'm so sickened by the path that we going down now that it's just ridiculous. And don't get me wrong, I'm far from an angel, but it's different. It's different today than it was in my time. And I mean, say what they may, because every generation think that they like that. Yeah, we go hard. Ain't no generation. We're gonna speak about it in Washington, D.C. No generation went as hard as mine did. It's in the proof, statistically.
That's a fact.
So ain't nobody. And I'm one of the frontliners of that. I was an active participant in that. So this ain't nobody's parent sitting up there trying to chastise them and trying to tell them right from wrong. Whatever. This is something that I'm telling you because I was there. And then I'm trying to tell you that this ain't what you want. Because regardless of what we did, be it right or wrong, and mostly it was wrong, we still had an agenda. There's no agenda today. There's no agenda today. When you going out there and you missing your mark, something's wrong. You got to reevaluate that. And most of them missing their mark because they're not even trying to hit their mark to begin with. They don't want to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
We going back to the influence though. We going back to the influence. The influence is so much that now they got to get out there. These my ops. These my ops. I gotta put in work for the hood. The hood that ain't gonna love you back. See, that's one thing that if I had to think back about the things that I regret the most in my life, and that was not listening to my mother. My mother told me, nigga, you gonna die or you gonna go to jail. And when you do, them niggas ain't gonna be there for you.
Yeah.
When I look back at it, that's always been my problem. I was more loyal than the loyalty was reciprocated. And in a sense, I'm still like that to this day. I just can't shake it because I don't look for something in return. If I'm rocking with you, I'm gonna rock out with you. If you don't give it back, then hey, that's on you. And sometimes I don't see the proof in the pudding until it's sour. But people gonna learn, man. That them same niggas that's your homies, the same niggas you rocking with, the same niggas you riding with, them gonna be the same niggas telling on you. Them the same niggas gonna turn their back on you when you down and out. That ain't gonna help you, ain't gonna help your family, ain't gonna do nothing for you. And the same ones that's gonna write you off. And I try to tell younger people this because I'm not your mother and your father. I'm your big homie. I'm a nigga that because you don't know my name, you think, oh, this nigga just sweet. Oh, he's a security guard. Or he's whoever he is. If you knew a tenth of the things that I've done in my life, you wouldn't react the way you do. But I don't lead with that because that's nothing to be proud of. I just try to lead with advice. And what I try to tell you about is the thing is, it's so saddening that the same niggas that you beefing with, the same nigga that's your ops, or since we dick riding so much, excuse my language, like we on Detroit time, I mean Chicago time so much. The nigga from 63rd, guess what? That's gonna be the same nigga or his homies, or if not him, his homies or his family that's gonna be with you in the feds, back to back with you. When them white boys run down on you, when them Crips and Bloods ride down on you, when them GDs ride on you, when the Mexicans ride on you. See, because DC is hated by everybody. So we're gonna get past the street politics. All right, we're gonna give you a blessing. You don't die in the streets. Allah saved you. So he didn't take your soul. He just gonna give you 80 years. So now you gotta go to the feds. And the only people there for you is your homeboys. The nigga that you was shooting at from 63rd. Because guess what? He gonna be right there with you. Because guess what? They coming at him too. So now we in the feds and we best of friends. Because we ain't got no choice. But on the street, we're trying to kill one another.
Yeah.
This is the reality. It ain't, for those who don't know, this is what happens every day. Because when you get off that bus and you pull up in them penitentiaries, all that, yeah, we beefing. No, you're not. Because you got 500 other homies there that's going to let you know you niggas ain't beefing about nothing. Not on this yard, you not. Because we together here. So this is what you don't understand, but we spend all our time, out here just going through the negative stuff. We're going to come full circle and we're going to be united after it's all said and done, after we done sacrificed and gave everything up.
So how do we get young brothers to actually have that before they even got to go all the way down that route to learn that lesson?
We have to try to employ self-esteem into them. They have to feel like the problem is, I've watched over the years kids getting killed, elderly getting killed, and people crying and say, when does this stop? Or like people don't have no sense, or like they don't even understand. No, they don't understand their life. They don't value the life of others because they don't value their own lives. You know what I'm saying? They think that the answer is always go and get an extendo, go and get this, and putting in work. They have no self-esteem because if they did, they know that they're much better than that. It's so much more to offer. So we have to try to employ them to start feeling a sense of worthiness within their self. It goes back to the influence. We have to try to be the positive influence and outweigh that negative influence that I was talking about, because I said everything is based on influence. So if they keep on getting, if it's more negative in their lives, then we already know which direction they're going. So we got to try to pull that positivity in them to get them to step outside of that. We got to try our best to give them something different than what they're getting. We got to pull them out of that, because as long as they're in that type of environment around them same people, they don't have a chance, because don't nobody, their homies don't want them to see it. They can't come up, so they don't want them to come up. Before the pandemic, you had all these sports. You had, recreation sports. And the average team, they got video games, they got school, they got video games. They off into some type of organized sport. They don't really have time for negativity. But the pandemic came, they stopped school, they stopped everything. So now you can't keep them in the house. So now all they do is hang around their homies. And what they doing? Chasing girls, they smoking, they drinking, they senseless. The social media is the devil. I know so many beefs that started based on Instagram, you name it, man. Like, we didn't have that, but it can go from 0 to 60 just like that, because of a social media, because of a post. People don't even know one another. And you got parents out here that's instigating it. They just as worse.
Yeah.
My child is beefing with your child. Okay, we pulling up.
Yeah.
How you gonna take your child, put them in the car and pull up? Yeah. So kids can fight. That's only going to escalate into adults fighting. I've seen where the adults fight the kids. That's not going to end good.
Let me ask you this, Big E. What does big homie mean to you, and what makes a big homie?
It's not age. I say that. I think a big homie is somebody who is trying to teach somebody something. You can't learn from somebody, or somebody's not giving you something that you can benefit from, then they ain't no big homie. They might be a big homie in age, but a big homie is like a big brother. It's like an elder, and that person should be in your life trying to teach you something, trying to give you something that's tangible, that you can hold on to, that you can benefit from. Just being around the way, and I'm a big homie, and I'm trying to tell you to do something stupid. You ain't my big homie. You just an old ass nigga that it didn't work for you. So now you trying to make me follow in the same footsteps. That's how I view it. My big homies, I got a few big homies, and I'm old as dirt. But I got a few big homies, but I benefit from them dudes. Them dudes is in my life to keep me on the straight and narrow, and always provide something for me. So that's what a big homie is, somebody that I can turn to in a time of need, or just that I can benefit from. And I'm not saying it in a way that I'm just using them, but I'm saying they're a positive role in my life. That's what a big homie is to me.
And one of the things that we were starting to see in the trauma bay, when these guys would come in, is that my man shot me. We encountered so many, black young men They're saying my man shot me, right? And I think, you know, it's devastating to these guys. You know what I mean? Because as black men, we don't trust a lot anyway. We're not vulnerable a lot in general. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to get your, you know, your thoughts on that.
Like I said, my mother told me, them niggas ain't gonna be in your corner.
Yeah.
Them niggas they ain't your friends.
Yeah.
They not your friends, man. It's okay to have associates. And that's not to say that we can't just bond with certain people. I got a lot of love for a few people out here. But for a person to shoot you, stab you in your back, and supposed to be your man, you embraced him blindly. This is what I'm saying about being on poison, because before this happened, he showed you who he was.
Yeah.
At some point, you just missed it.
Yeah.
Because ain't no nigga just going just like, I mean, unless they just a demonic individual. And I'm saying I've been around the best of the best. All the people that's doing these podcasts is out here and their names ringing in all these magazines, and I come up with these dudes. But even them didn't rock out like that. Most of them, if they was coming to get you, you knew they was coming to get you, or you knew why they was coming, or you knew you had fucked up at some point.
Right.
So for somebody to be your man and they snake you, it's kind of on you.
Yeah.
Because
it's like it don't even
the
really
signs was there, right? The signs was there. You just refused to accept them for whatever reason.
Right. Exactly. And it's almost like it doesn't even. It's almost like an oxymoron, because how you using my man shot me in the same sentence, right?
He stole your man.
If he shot you,
he stole your man.
Right.
My man shot me. Nah, this bitch nigga shot me who I thought was my man.
Exactly.
My man
exactly.
said, yeah, my man did this to me.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Like how you using that in the same sentence? What I wanted to ask, because what I found interesting what you said about one of your mentors, that he lived in Long Beach, and you was in Long Beach, so it's almost like your life came full circle in that way, and then going to Germany, and now what you're doing. A lot of times me and Che talk about, because we bring guys up to the campus, and we find a lot of times when they come up, they like, because they never been there, they like, yo, how can I get into college, or when the next time I could come up here? They like it up there. So how important do you think it is to travel, to get off the block, to go see something else?
You got to. Oftentimes that's the way to break the cycle. I wanted to do it, and I did do it, but I came back. And when I came back, that which I left from still exists, and in fact, it had only compounded. So if you can't stop hanging around the people that you're around, and you just can't find an escape, you have to migrate. I don't want to get religious on y'all, but you know, in my religion, our prophet, he migrated. When Islam was being propagated and the people wasn't accepting it, he migrated.
Right.
So he made hijra, that's what we call it. So it's nothing wrong with migrating for a better start, for a better understanding. Don't mean you got to always remain there. You can come back, but that might be the solution. If a mother has a child and a mother can't control the child and the child is just gone, she might have to aid and assist in that child migrating, whether they want to or not. At the end of the day, they're still a child. So they might be, of course they're not going to want to do it because they want to still be, with their men or their females, whatever the case may be. But they might have to be forced to migrate, a different environment, a better situation, but you just can't send them off anywhere. You got to still do the work there, because like I said, this is just not a DC problem. We just happen to helm from this area, but it's going on everywhere. So there ain't no need of sending them off to Chicago around O-Block, because that ain't going to do nothing but give them a whole different type of, that's going to give them, he really going to be, you know what I'm saying? But again, like you say, sometimes we have to leave what's comfortable to us for a new start. And not just children, as adults, we got to do the same thing. You know, opportunities come about. It might be a job. And a lot of people, they want to hang around what is comfortable, what is known, what is, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes you have to take that leap. I'm going to go out here to California. I'm going to chase my dreams. I'm going to do this, that, and the third, and see what happens.
So let me ask you this. Then we talk about something else. We had a youngin, you know, rest in peace to Marjay Powers. He, you know, was this kid, you know, that came through the hospital, you know what I mean, through our program. A bright kid. He, you know, he was talking a lot about changing his life. You know what I mean? He went to take the enrollment test at Montgomery Community College. And then 2-3 months later, he get gunned down. And we talk a lot about, or I talk a lot about, just because you want to change your life and you're ready to change your life, the streets ain't that forgiving. And I wish, you know, I wear this on my heart because he was close to me. You know what I mean? I honestly wish I could have made a phone call to Dad, whatever was going on. But my resources ain't reached that far in that neighborhood. So when I asked you about the question with the big homie, I feel like it wasn't a big homie there that I knew of that I could have called and could have maybe even just, maybe not stopped the beef, but something could have happened. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, you know, I wear that on my sleeve. Because he was...
You can't do that though, bro. I get it, I understand, but you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? The main thing is, like, I get where you're coming from, you know what I'm saying? And you feel passionate about people and you want to help them, and this is the avenue that you're going. So of course you want to try to save an individual, but we have to understand that everybody can't be saved. I mean, as harsh as that may sound, me, myself, I got tired of living a life that I was living, and I tried to stop. But like you say, once you do certain things, only time and space is can change a lot of things. Because if a person can see you and to put their hands on you or can address a matter right then and there, they're gonna do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's dealing with life situations or bloodshed or whatever, they don't want to hear that. And you know, and like the difference between us, when I say us, I'm talking about DC and a lot of places, it's often not a big homie in a position to do that. We don't act upon those guidelines. There's not a hierarchy like that with shot callers. You got big homies and you got some OGs, but for a person to say, hey man, stand down, don't do this. Ain't nobody really trying to hear that. This ain't Larry Hoover, and no disrespect to the GDs, or this ain't, you know, we don't honor that hierarchy, if you will. So like if you kill my brother, big whoever he is can't tell me, you know, leave it alone, like stand down. I ain't trying to hear that, because now I might be trying to holler at big boy and you know, in my past.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people today that have that same mindset. The only thing we can do, like, if anything, we could have probably tried to get him, like I said, to migrate, to go away. And one thing is, sadly, is prison has saved a lot of people, whether we want to accept that or not, because there's been a lot of old beefs and people go inside for these lengthy sentences, and they come home. By the time they come home, it's like, whatever. Right. So prison has allowed a lot of people to survive, but in the bigger scheme of things, it's all a loss. Okay. Whether we lose it to the grave or to the system, it's all a loss. But don't you take that personally. You know, it's easier said than done, but like, it's just unfortunate that the brother took certain decisions or made certain decisions and made certain choices in his life that caused him to lose his own.
Yeah.
But like I said, you know, it may not have been an individual in that position. And that's why you might not have been able to get in contact with nobody, because there probably wasn't nobody there that could have heated that situation.
Yeah.
So, what would you say for you, like, if you could say the best decisions you made in your life, what would you say those decisions have been?
The best decisions? Changing my ways, finding a sense of faith in something that I know is greater than anything that we deal with on this level, and being man enough and mature enough to change my ways from what they used to be. Because without my faith and without, you know, my understanding of life today and the directions and paths that I want to take, I wouldn't be here right now. And I've come too far to just, you know, give it all up. So that's what I would do. I would change that. I would change. I mean, that's what I acknowledge as being my biggest, you know, efforts in change. It's just changing my mindset and changing my belief system.
We're gonna switch it up. We're gonna take you to the other part of the show where we're gonna start out. It's gonna be a little heavy first, but we're gonna end up on a funny note. So let's go through it. So I want to get your thoughts about this.
What church was this? I need my breakdown. 1.5. Somebody told him if he'd have got 38 cards instead of 39, he might have been able to be all right, man. You know what I'm saying? He might have did it too much with the 39. Right. 38 might have been cool. He OC with the 39.
Right. He went one card too many.
Yeah, one card too many, man.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Good men, man. Good men. I had the pleasure of knowing both of them, man. And it's just a sad reality, man. You know what I'm saying? It's really a sad reality. But again, this goes right back to everything we're talking about right now. Just the tragedy, just the mindset of the streets, the mindset of our, you know, the mental. And we talking about, we're from DC or the metropolitan area. You got a brother from California and another brother from Chicago. It's all doing the same thing, man. Everybody think that the solution is picking up that gun and taking the lives of others. But rest in peace to both of them good brothers.
Next one.
That's a good picture with a sad picture. You know, I got locked up a few hours after this picture was taken. So got locked up in Boston. In fact, this was Wale's tour before last, the Shine tour. Good tour. All DC homies, man. We was in Boston on this night at the House of Blues. This was the last show of the tour. And we wasn't even staying there. We was coming straight back home from this. And last minute booking for an after party at a club up there, and situation got crazy. And when it was all said and done, I was charged with a firearm and had to do 18 months up in Boston in the county jail up there fighting this case. This was in 2017. But the main reason why I had to do that was because of my past. You understand what I'm saying? I was still dealing with my past on this night, which caused me to still have to go through the foolishness of the choices that I made when I was 17 years old. But long story short, I had my day in court. I took it to trial, was found not guilty on all counts by a jury and my peers, and released and got back to it. But that was a good night, though, up until the Boston PD decided to harass me.
Yeah. So let me ask you this real quick. So the mindset then, of course, I'm sure you was upset, feeling some type of way. Was it how you dealt with any other situation in your life?
Mean what? I don't understand that.
So what I'm asking is, how did you deal with it mentally when you was fighting that case? You know what I mean? Because you didn't been in this situations before. So what
it's
was
hard though. It's hard. I ain't trying to toot my horn and down, but you know, I live a little differently now. You know, I fly on private jets and eat at Mr. Childs and hang out with some popular people, man. Yeah. So to go from that to this, it hit kind of heavy for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what people fail to realize. They say, well, he did 21 years. Oh, that 18 months ain't, oh, hell nah, it was something. Yeah. Because that's also trauma. That's also traumatic because now I'm reflecting of all the things that I've had to endure.
Right.
And I'm finding myself, am I going to be back in that situation? Because remember, I was found guilty for something that I felt as though I should have beat the first time around. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a lot of faith in the judicial system. Mm-hmm. So it don't matter. It don't make a difference how much money you got. I still wear their skin. Yeah. I'm still in the Commonwealth state, and I still have this hanging over my head. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't an easy ride, but again, my faith and my support system was there for me. Shout out to my mama.
Shout out to mama.
I was going to ask you that, E. I was like, did anything about that situation remind you of what your mother told you about your friends?
I mean, yeah, it did. It did. But we all good. We all good, man. You know, we all make mistakes.
Right.
The main thing is I'm talking to you guys now, and I mean, it is what it is. That was a good night up until that moment, and now we've had other good nights since then. So
cool.
I'm cool on that.
Next slide.
Yeah, that was just recently.
Dang.
That was just recently. Miami. I just told y'all earlier that I was down Miami for a couple of weeks. So one thing is, it feels good to be back at work. I just finally started my company. It's official, Gladiator Protective Services. So that was just me feeling myself a little bit and giving myself a shout out.
As you should.
That was during a recent trip. Was down there with some good people. Shout out to Chase Young. Shout out to Rose, and you know, a few other people that we were down there mingling with over the weeks. So yeah, that was a good time for me right there. Go check out those websites. You need any security, make sure you hit me up. You're gonna have to have your bag ready though. This ain't no cheap service here. This is elite service. You're getting elite service with this. I got a whole crew with me too. Yeah, but we ain't no newbies in this. We do this for real.
Man, shout out Pep, man.
Shout out my man Pep, Big Brian.
Shout out to Pep.
Yeah, those my guys. Midnight Harvest Group, those my guys. That's all family though. That's all family. I'm their big homie.
Yeah.
So when you speak about big homie, let Pep and them would say, I'm their big homie. I'm their OG.
Right.
Yeah.
Good men though. Good solid dudes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna rock with them, whatever. Any situation, I'm rocking out with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Next one.
Free Tony Lewis. Yeah, that's my round. And we call me and Slug call each other round. I talk to him about every day, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's because of him that me and Wale have formed the relationship we got. So those are like my little brothers right there. Both of them, one is an employee, one of them just a close ally of mine. And we really trying to get his father out, man. Like I say, good man. He was in my era. Definitely wasn't on my level. He definitely was on a hierarchy of the things, but great man, wrongly done wrong by the judicial system. I mean, definitely committed some errors, but surely has paid his price by now.
Without question.
We definitely need him home, man. We definitely need that brother home. His family needs him home. He needs to be home for himself and everybody else that has any knowledge of his case. Please go to the website, www.freetonylewis.com, or you can go to my website, www.gladiatorprotectiveservice.com, and there's a link there that'll take you straight to his story. And if you're not familiar with it, please get acclimated with it, man. We need to do everything we can do to rally and petition for this man to come home. Almost 32 years now.
Yeah, that's enough.
It's more than enough.
Yeah,
it's more than enough. But yeah.
Next slide.
That picture back right there, that was us at the mayor's inauguration when Mayor Bowser got inaugurated.
Okay. Let me ask you, when you go back to that real quick, and that's the inauguration, when you look back and you're in situations like that, do you ever like had to stop for a minute? Nobody knows what you're thinking, and just think to yourself like, damn, I came a long way.
When probably into the night, she probably never even knew what was going on, because she loves me to death. And I mean, I'm around a lot of people who don't even know my history. And it's funny to me because it's like, because of what I do and who I do it for, they just automatically open arms because, you know, I do what I do professional. And I've come in contact with a lot of people, and they probably be like, God damn, I've done just about everything but get in the White House. I can't never get cleared to get in the White House. My team has been there like 3 occasions, and I'm always across the street somewhere or waiting for them to come out. I can't get through that gate. But yeah, I often do that. I often do that on a lot of stuff. We've lobbied in Capitol Hill. I've been in certain chambers, and just like, damn, yeah, I've come a long way.
Man, let him in the White House. Stop playing.
Yeah, let me in the White House. Let me tell you a funny story right fast.
Go ahead.
So Beyonce is doing a formation tour. She stops off in Baltimore. So we go to Baltimore, and DJ Khaled opens up for her. So the way it was going, every city they go to, whoever's the poppin' acts in that city, he brings them out. So they're in Baltimore, so he brings out Wale, he brings out Shy Glizzy, he brings out, you know, the Washington homies that have made a name for themselves. So we're doing all that, and we all in one green room. You know, Khaled, Yo Gotti, Wale, everybody. So a lady comes and says, hey, do you think it's possible, he's speaking to Wale's assistant. She said, do you think it's possible I can speak to Wale? I'm with Beyonce's team. I'm her publicist. So the assistant goes back to Wale. So Wale, I'm over there eating. Wale calls me, say, hey, man, go out here and see who this is. They talking about they Beyonce publicist. Why they want to talk to me? So I go out there. I'm like, yeah, can I help you? So now she see that she can't really, she got to shoot straight with me. She said, well, I'm not really Beyonce's publicist. I'm with the first lady. And she's over in the locker room with the kids and several of her friends. And she wants Wale to come over to talk to him. But she didn't want to be rude to the other guests because she's not offering them to come over. So we're trying to keep it on, you know,
Right.
on the DL. So I go back, I say, hey.
Bring your ass.
Hey, yeah, man, Michelle Obama tried to, that's her people's over there. So he throw the food down, he jump up, he say, come on. So now, of course, the whole team trying to come. Nah, just me and E, just me and E. Everybody stay back. So we go. So I'm like, okay, I'm about to be all right. It's not Obama, but it's Michelle.
Right. Close enough.
Hey, that's about the closest I'm gonna get. I ain't gotta go.
We're not in the White House.
Hey, we're not in the White House. I'm about to meet Michelle Obama. Man, I get to the door where she at, Secret Service out there. They say, hey, just you. Talking to Wale. He like, no, he said, this is my security. They said, what? He said, no, this is my security, just me and my security. He said, security? He said, look, no disrespect, right? But we Secret Service, security of the world. We think you'll be all right if you just go in there by yourself. So I got this close. I got this close. And I was over there back on the wall.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I wasn't across Pennsylvania Avenue, but I might as well been. I might as well been, man.
Yeah, so that's some fun shit right there.
Yeah, so
how was you feeling? He said,
I was feeling about this one.
They was like, look.
I heard the intros to the show, but I mean, I appreciate all the acknowledgments and the accolades, but I ain't that big, bro.
Ain't trying to
like Secret Service.
You be all right.
Yeah, you be all right. Go on there. You all right. Your man got to stay out here.
Yeah.
Damn. Cool. Hey, that's funny, man. That's a story for your ass.
Next one.
Okay, yeah, Freddie Gray, Baltimore. This is right after he was killed. Because certainly he was killed by the Baltimore Police Department. And this is after the riots. The riots had just taken place, in fact, and this is when it was still going on. So, in fact, we were on the road. I want to say we were in Texas or somewhere, but I know we flew back. Wale wanted to talk to the youth. He said he got to try to do something. So, and it's ironic because this ain't to throw no shot to nobody, but we were working. And we got on a jet and we came back and made the right connects with the right people to get to ground zero where we need to be at. We went to Frederick Douglass High School and we talked to the youth. And if you know anything about that whole ordeal, it was those youths at Frederick Douglass that started the whole situation. Right. They went across the street to the little strip mall and they started out. So when we went over there, he listened to them, and we talking about young kids that had something to say, that had some things on their mind, and they, and we listened to them, and then we walked the streets with these people. And it was funny because you got a lot of entertainers and athletes and everything that's from the area, and none of them came.
Right.
But when they saw Wale, on CNN and all that, then they started. And I mean, that's not a shot at them. It is a shot. What the fuck I'm saying? It's a shot. But what I'm saying is that they jumped on the wagon when they should have been there, I believe. Your home team's supposed to be there. If it was DC, it was no way that any other individual should have been there before we were there.
Right.
So, but other people came in. But I remember that day vividly. We walked them streets with a lot of people, man. They had the National Guards all out there with the guns. We went on Pennsylvania Avenue right there with the CVS, and that was like close to it. So like Wale, he's real big on this. A lot of people don't give him the credit that he deserves, and they paint a picture of him that, might be a little warped, but he's always been with this type of stuff right here, from in his songs, whether being front line, he was just out here for the whole Freddie Gray thing. But we've been doing this because I forgot what year this was, but this was some years back.
Yeah, what was it, like 2015?
Something like that, maybe 14, 15, something like that. Yeah. So we've been doing that. We've been for the cause.
Next.
For the cause. Mumbo sauce, huh?
What that mean?
It's a DC thing. It's right there. Like if you don't know, Shout out my man Shamir. Just passed away. Shadow Group, one of the elite bodyguards in the industry. He just passed away early this month. And I recall posting this, and he's originally from New York, but he was down in Florida. And I posted this, and he got into my comments because his wife, Christina, she's from this area. So he knew about mumble sauce from her. So I'm like, what the hell you know about some mumble sauce? Yeah, rest in peace, my man Shamir, Shadow Group. Yeah. But yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny. I said, oh, Shadow know about the mumble sauce, but definitely a DC thing that goes right along with the go-go music, man.
Yeah, it is.
Next.
Top 5 favorite tours. That's a hard one there, man. I've been doing this 10 years. That's a hard one. Definitely not the Shine tour, because like I said, I wound up in Boston. The Shine tour, all honesty, the Shine tour is definitely right up there with it, man. Because with the exception of that last night, that was good. MMG tour was good. Snoop's tour, all Snoop tours are good. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, what makes Snoop's tours good?
It's just a different energy with Snoop, man. You know, Snoop is the OG, and people seem when they come out for Snoop, it seems like I don't know what it's like. Something's in the air. If you get my trip,
Yeah,
so it's just like something in there, and everybody's just feeling good, man.
Yeah.
It be that
Like
smoke.
Oh, the smoke. That's what it is. You said smoke?
The smoke. You said something in the air. I'm like that smoke.
Oh no, who does that?
We don't
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Yeah, it's always a good time with dog.
Yeah. All right, so that's 3. Got 2 more.
Give us 2 more. Or maybe moments. If you don't want to do the tours, give us a moment.
I'm gonna give you a groupie moment.
All right.
I've met everybody from Bill Gates, probably on down, Warren Buffett, everybody. Never been a groupie with nobody. I've been fans, you know, of course, Jay-Z, big fan, but it's nothing big. It's okay, it's who they are. I was around this individual a few times, but one particular time, it kind of just messed me up. And that was Bria Murphy. That's Eddie Murphy's daughter.
Right.
So we were at Mr. Child's, and she was at the table with us, and we was eating. And I was just looking at her. And it just hit me like out of nowhere. I'm like, this is Bria Murphy. And what was profound was it like, I'm an avid, like Eddie Murphy's like one of my all-time great comedians. And I grew up off of Eddie Murphy, all the way from the stand-ups to 48 Hours and all the Trading Places. And it just was like, I'm sitting here with Eddie Murphy's daughter. Like, damn. And it was just odd because, like, you think of everybody I've been around, like Eddie Murphy's daughter.
Right.
But it was just a correlation of like, damn, this is just weird. He has a daughter old enough for me to be, and I wasn't around him, but it was just,
right.
It was just weird. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been around her several times. She's been in a couple Wale videos, but just that night, it just hit me a little differently. And I was just like, damn. But that was a crazy moment for me. And I don't know, it's just hard. I've done a lot, man. I've done a lot.
Was there ever a moment when you were like,
go ahead. Probably my greatest moment was because I got locked up August 22nd, 1989. So we go back a couple of years, August 22nd, I forgot what year it was. But I met Michael Jackson's mother. We were in Gary, Indiana to do an event for Michael Jackson. This is when Wale released PYT. And and I got to meet his mother. I got to be in the house where they grew up at on Jackson Street, 2300 Jackson Street, and do all that. And it just, I'm like, damn, this is Michael Jackson's mother. And I thought that was like real cool. And it happened on one of the worst days of my life. It turned into one of the best ones to be able to meet Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson's mother, you know, Catherine Jackson. So that was a great moment for me.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, yo, the time flew by, man.
Yeah, we could be here all night. It's like we just chilling. Yeah. Man, your story is amazing. You ever think about biography, book, documentary?
Yeah, I got some things coming out, man. I got some good people working with me, man. So I don't want to bore the people. I hope I didn't bore this audience. I hope somebody got something from it. But I'm gonna try to do something when I slow down. I guess when I get too old to get in the field, I might take the time to really do something for myself.
Yeah, man. Shit, we appreciate you, man.
We appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you guys. Keep doing what y'all doing, man.
Man, anything we could do to help with anything that you might got going on, man, phone call away. And
likewise.
You know what I mean? We black men gotta stick together. They said it on Soul Food. The grandmother said, you know, a fist is more powerful, you know what I mean, than that one finger. So, you know, that's one of our things that we believe in, man. And, you know, we want to salute you, give you your flowers, you know, while you're here.
Thank you,
man,
Solomon.
Just shout out to my man Solomon. He said everybody enjoyed the stories, bruh. So yeah, definitely.
For sure, man.
Yo.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, man. We honored, man.
Yes, sir.
For sure. And we gonna close out, man. Stay on, Biggie. We about to start recording.
And again, Life After the Gunshot, episode 6. We're gonna have a reunion show. Yo, stay tuned for episode 2, Life After the Gunshot docuseries. If you haven't watched Life After the Gunshot episode 1, yo, make sure you watch that on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. And until next time, be safe. Life After the Gunshot. We out of here.